January 29, 2022, Canton, Massachusetts, 6 in the morning. A Boston police officer named John O'Keefe was found dead on the front lawn of a colleague's house, face down in the snow, in a blizzard. He had been there all night. Police looked at who had last been with him. They looked at his girlfriend, a woman named Karen Reed. They arrested her. They charged her with second-degree murder. They said she hit him with her SUV during a fight and drove away and left him to die in the snow. Open and shut. Drunk girlfriend. Dead boyfriend. Case closed. Except the lead detective investigating the case was texting John O'Keefe's friend while the trial was happening. He was sharing confidential information. He was coaching witnesses. He was later fired. His law enforcement license suspended. Karen Reed was acquitted of murder, and 2 days ago, she filed a lawsuit against the entire police department that tried to put her away. This story is not over, not even close. It was a Saturday night. John O'Keefe, a 16-year veteran of the Boston Police Department, was out drinking with colleagues and friends at a bar called C.F. McCarthy's in Canton. Karen Reed, his girlfriend of 2 years, was with him. Karen Reed drove John to Albert's house. She said she dropped him off, stayed in the car briefly, and then left to go home. She said she did not go inside. That was the last time she saw him alive. At 6:04 a.m. the next morning, Reed drove back to Albert's house. She had been trying to reach John all night, and he hadn't responded. When she arrived, she found him, face down on the front lawn, in the snow. She called 911. She was screaming. An autopsy found that John O'Keefe died of blunt force trauma and hypothermia. The prosecution's theory: Reed hit him with her SUV in a drunken fight before leaving, and his injuries came from her car. The defense's theory was something else entirely. They said John O'Keefe never made it out of that house alive, and someone, with very close ties to law enforcement, moved his body to the lawn. Karen Reed's defense team, led by attorney Alan Jackson, spent years building what they called proof of a cover-up. Here is what they found. The evidence, piece by piece. Taillight fragments. The lawsuit alleges that police destroyed the taillight, secretly took pieces of it into their possession, and then planted some of them in various places at the Albert house and on O'Keefe's clothes. The defense said the fragments were planted to make it look like Reed's car hit him. No crime scene search police only entered the crime scene house, where O'Keefe had been that night, a full week after he was found dead. No blood search, no fingerprints, no DNA sweep. A week later, the detective's texts lead investigator Michael Proctor was caught texting Jennifer McCabe,
but the network
a friend of
records show
O'Keefe's who was
otherwise.
a key prosecution witness. While the investigation was active, he was sharing confidential case information. He was later found to have lied on the stand. The Google search. The defense discovered that Jennifer McCabe, a prosecution witness, had Googled "how long to die in cold" at 2:27 a.m. on the night O'Keefe died, hours before his body was found. The prosecution disputed the timestamp. The defense said it proved foreknowledge. Dog bite injuries. O'Keefe had injuries on his arms consistent with dog bites. The Albert family had a dog. The defense said these injuries happened inside the house, not on the lawn from a car impact. The defense wasn't just saying Karen Reed was innocent. They were saying John O'Keefe was killed by someone in that house, and that the police who were supposed to investigate it were protecting the people inside. 2 trials, millions of Americans following every detail, supporters in pink outside the courthouse every single day, and a lead detective who was texting a prosecution witness during the investigation. How did this case go from a local tragedy to the most watched trial in America? The jury deliberated and could not agree. In July 2024, the judge declared a mistrial. A hung jury, starkly divided. The second trial began in April 2025. This time, the entire country was watching. Court TV, cable news, podcasts, social media. The Karen Reed case had become something beyond a murder trial. It had become a referendum on whether ordinary people could trust American law enforcement. The jury deliberated for 4 days. On June 18, 2025, the verdict came. Not guilty of second-degree murder, not guilty of manslaughter, convicted only of driving under the influence of alcohol. Outside the courthouse, the crowd in pink erupted. Inside, the family of John O'Keefe sat in silence. John was the victim of this institutional corruption. We are the voice for John. Karen Reed, June 5, 2026. After Karen Red was acquitted, the story did not end. In many ways, it was just beginning. Michael Proctor, the lead detective, was fired. In December 2025, the Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission suspended his law enforcement certification. His career over. The Norfolk County District Attorney who prosecuted Karen Reed, Michael Morrissey, announced in January 2026 that he would not seek re-election. His office had spent years pursuing a case that ended in acquittal and exposed serious misconduct by his investigators. A Canton police officer involved in the case resigned in May 2026, just before disciplinary proceedings could be completed. The FBI had interviewed multiple individuals connected to the Albert House. No new charges have been filed. An acquitted woman, a fired detective, a DA who won't run again, a cop who resigned before he could be fired, and the question that nobody has officially answered: who killed John O'Keefe? 2 days ago, June 4, 2026, Karen Red filed a civil lawsuit against the Massachusetts State Police and the Canton Police Department. The lawsuit claims both institutions tried to conceal what her legal team calls an embedded culture of bigotry, misogyny, systemic failures, and institutional rot. The suit alleges that investigators intentionally disregarded the obvious and compelling evidence that O'Keefe had been killed inside the home, and that they failed to send a crime scene photographer or criminalist to examine the property. She is not just suing for money. She is suing for answers. She is suing to force the institutions that prosecuted her to answer in a court of law for what she says they did to her and to John. John O'Keefe's family has also filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Karen Red. The FBI investigation, still open, no new charges, no new suspects named. 4 years after a Boston police officer was found dead in the snow, nobody has been convicted of his murder. His girlfriend was acquitted. The detective who investigated her was fired. The DA retired, and the case is still going. Tell me, do you think Karen Red is innocent? Or do you think John O'Keefe's family deserves justice in a different way? Comment below. I am reading every single one. This story is moving fast. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Subscribe to Dark Docket right now, because this Karen Reed lawsuit goes to court soon, and I will cover every development as it happens. And next week, the Gilgo Beach killer, an architect, a family man, bodies buried for 13 years. That drops in 7 days.